alkaline water. Yummy. What is the breakdown of the word polyamory? Well, poly comes from the Greek, meaning many. Amory comes from the Latin amore, meaning love. Polyamory is a relationship model that deals with a person having many loves simultaneously. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, I am Claudia. And in this video, I am so delighted to share with you a book review and my thoughts on a subject that I have been planning for you since last year. I read the book, but I just had so many things to do. I am just now getting around to sitting down and filming this video. What's the book? This is More Than Two, a practical guide to ethical polyamory, written by Franklin Vu. That's V-E-A-U-X. I'm not sure if it's Vo or Vu, but I researched the word V-E-A-U-X in the French, and it was pronounced Vu. So I said Franklin Vu. All right, sorry Franklin if it's Vo, but I think it's Vu. And Eve Rickert, R-I-C-K-E-R-T. I'll make sure I put the names on the screen. But this is their book. More Than Two. I have been interested in polyamory since, I would say, before 2014. I would speak about polyamory from what I knew of it in the way of what friends had shared with me about people they knew who were practicing polyamory, people who were polyamorous, period, that they've always known them to be. And it was a relationship model that intrigued me to no end. I was like, what is this? I mean, monogamy rules the world, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Monogamy may be the predominant relationship model, but there are other non-monogamous ways to love and embrace others in a loving relationship, and polyamory is one. This book has a foreword by Janet Hardy, the co-author of The Ethical Slut. Apropos, totally, I concur, great choice, because I read The Ethical Slut. It's like, I love the way it's the claiming of something that people would think is shameful. Oh, you're a slut. You are a slut. The ethical slut adds a new slant even to slut, because no, I'm not cheating. No, I'm not doing anyone wrong. I am ethical about it. I am being honest and true and communicating and practicing all the loving ways that one can be in a relationship. Slut, loving more than one. You don't even have to go there. People would know, what's a slut? A slut is a person who has 2 or 3 or 4 maybe people that she deals with. Janet Hardy and Dossie, I love that name, D-O-S-S-I-E, Easton, wrote together. They co-wrote The Ethical Slut. And it was a book that revolutionized its time, because so many people, Janet says, so many people were unaware of another part to loving other than monogamy. So they were loving polyamorously without even really realizing what the word meant. I love that in the introduction, Janet says they were giving one of their workshops when a woman whispered in a high-pitched voice, like she was shocked, that there were these two women giving this workshop and they were talking about stuff they'd done together. And one of their boyfriends was right in the room. So that's how unaware the world was, Janet says, of polyamory. That yes, you could have a boyfriend in the room or one of your boyfriends in the room while the workshop was going on, and your co-presenter could be one of your lovers right there in the room, and nobody was hiding or sneaking or looking around like, oh my God, these people really are sluts. And where is the ethical nature of it all? So, true, they needed to put pen to paper and draft the ethical slut. And Franklin and Eve have given us one of, I think, the best books on polyamory. And I know you might be saying, well, Claudia, what are you saying one of the best books you think? Well, I have researched different books out on the publishing table now on the subject of polyamory and read the reviews. And this one comes up as one of the top ones, if not the top, one of the top ones. And I can say Loving More Than Two, or More Than Two, morethan2.com is Franklin's website that you can go and visit, his blog that will share more with you on this way of loving. So together, Franklin and Eve have been loving polyamorously for over 40 years. I would say that constitutes authority. What is polyamory? That takes me to what is polyamory. Have you ever known a polyamorous person? Have you ever felt free enough to question polyamory without having your friends or family, co-workers judge you about wanting to know of polyamory? Well, in this book, polyamory is simply given as another way, as I said before, of loving in a relationship. It's like a buffet. Take what interests you, get rid of what doesn't, embrace what works for you and your love or loves, and go from there. Nobody is weighing, at least not Franklin or Eve. No, they're not weighing polyamory as here and monogamy as here. No, it's just another way to relate in a loving relationship. And I concur with them. Now, who am I? I am a poly person, single. I'm a single poly person. I am not in a relationship, but I know that I am poly. I have the capability and the desire and the inclination and the proclivity to love more than one person simultaneously. Let's get to what Franklin and Eve are saying. In the acknowledgement section, they start with successful polyamory is a group effort. That is a powerful statement, and it is true. And I can feel viscerally that it is true, considering what is polyamory. Polyamory is the relationship model that allows you to love more than one person simultaneously, ethically, non-judgmentally, and lovingly, communicatively. Polyamory is the shattering of the myth that there is only one person that you can truly love in a lifetime, that you can experience true love with. that there is only this westernized concept of the one. Polyamory says we love more than one in many areas of our lives. You don't just love your mother and not your father. You don't just love that sister and not all of your other siblings. You don't have one cousin that you love and the rest of them can drift away. We don't have one, typically, good friend, and we don't have any other friend. If so, something may be wrong. But nonetheless, we love across spectrums in our lives. And I believe we also have the capability of loving across spectrums romantically. So to start with, in the acknowledgement section, that successful polyamory is a group effort, I can see where that is true. I mean, when you consider polyamory as loving more than one, then you have a small group or a larger group that has to learn to successfully communicate and deal with their time so that they can relate to one another, be honest as much as possible. If jealousy arises, and you know it will, we're humans, face it head on with communication and not backbiting, resentment, and anger. And just opening your heart to loving what your partner loves. So, or at least respecting. Let me get to clarifying. I know some of you are going, Claudia, hold on, girl. Okay. In this book, I have learned, mind you, I am one of those friends who is ever talking to others about polyamory. I read this book more than once. So when I speak to them, I try and share with them what Franklin and Eve share in this book, because I have not lived it yet. I don't know, I may be one of the persons that I heard Shan Booty and Jared, her husband, talk about earlier in a podcast, who avoids romantic relationships because I am so bound in one part of my life, which is work, my passion, but that's another video. But back to polyamory. Polyamory has different ways to be, and there's no one right way to be polyamorous, as they say. So as long as no one is being abused in a relationship, that I'm not being told I'm not enough, or I am too much, or I need to be pressed into doing something I don't want to do, be it sex, be it doing something that is wrong and somebody is trying to make me do that to help them. No, considering all of that aside, no abuse, these two people love one another, and these three people, these four people, then polyamory should be able to be practiced and walk towards daily, just like you would in a loving relationship in monogamy. You don't just get together, everything is perfect, and your life rolls out like a magic red carpet. Those two people must work on their relationship daily and do it in an easy, loving way. And sometimes it might not be easy, but at least they persist. Same thing with polyamory. From what I have understood, there are different shapes and forms to how people could come together as polyamorous lovers. So, as far as poly relationships, they come in an astoundingly wide variety of assortments for how you could be, as far as size, shape, and flavors. Just like there are many nuances to the human heart, there are many nuances to how you could be in a polyamorous relationship. One is the V. The V, and take your mind out of the gutter, the V would be a situation where you have three people. So in this V, you have a person here at the point of the V, a person here and a person here, three people. And the VEE is what is what it is known as in polyamory. So this person at the point here is the pivot person. This is the person who is connected to the other two. This person has a metamor relationship with this person. This is the pivot person. This person has a romantic relationship with this one, and this person also has a romantic relationship with that person. These two might not have a relationship other than the metamor relationship, which is this person is aware, fully aware and consensual in the knowing of this person. Nobody is cheating, nobody is hiding. And this is the V model. They may never enter a relationship other than the metamor relationship. That's one model. A triad is three people, same again, three people, tri. This person, and this person are all in a relationship mutually, meaning they are all together, they love one another, they may or may not be in a sexual relationship, because sex in polyamory is not exclusive only to two people or one person. I know we'll get back to that, but if the relationship rules say that in polyamory with this group of people, then that's what it is. They're polyfidelitas. Their relationship is closed and there's nobody else in that relationship but maybe these five people, and they don't enter out to have sex with other people or to open other relationships. Or they may be open and they are free to meet other people, form relationships, and of course have sex if that's what they want to do with those other people. But back to these three people in the triad. They are mutually together, lovingly, consensually, sexually, all the ways you could be in a relationship with someone else together. There's no need to cheat. There's no need to sneak. Communication is the fulcrum for polyamory. If you don't have communication and trust, you have nothing. Because some people would say two is hard to deal with enough as far as trust and communication, but three has to be more. No, that's a mindset as well. Because if you're open to loving more than one, then that communication can be a blessing, is a blessing, and a joy to be able to work through whatever comes up and still make the choice, because happiness is a choice that you make every day to love and be together, those three people. Now, those three in your triad, which is what, when I first started thinking and researching polyamory, which is what I thought I wanted as my relationship model, with three people in the relationship, closed relationship, closed union, and just learning how to merge three families and go with that. But I found that that is like a novice way of approaching the triad, because I don't know what relationship models will develop out of me meeting and learning to love other people. Now, in the triad, same as with the V, relationship models in polyamory, you don't have to have your various partners in the same abode. in the same house or apartment. With the V, these two people, the pivot person and person A, could be in a home in this relationship model. They could be living together. This other person might live across the city, across the street, in another state. They don't have to all be in one location. Same as the triad. There might be a nesting partner with the three, and these two might nest together. But this person might be a distance away, and so these two go travel to meet their lover, their partner. Now there's also a quad. You know what the quad is. That would be four. Four people, same thing. They're all in a relationship, consensually, loving one another, moving together, a union, just like a couple. Now, that quad could have formed a number of different ways. It could be open once again. It could be closed. That quad could have formed with a couple loving one another and deciding to open their relationship. They meet another couple. They fall in love with that couple. You got a quad. You could have one person who meets three different people and love them and find that they can all date and come together and realize, hey, we love one another. Let's set up the rules and parameters for our relationship and move forward in non-monogamy and polyamory. I think this book is great not only for people who are polyamorous and want to learn how to be more ethically present in their relationship. I think this book is great for people who practice monogamy as well, because then you could learn more about relationships and the dynamics of relating to your significant other. Maybe set rules in place that would help you when you run into roadblocks like bed death. It's not just lesbian bed death. Bed death could happen to a heterosexual couple. What happens when jealousy comes up? What happens when someone is sneaking and cheating? Do you fall away and just let the relationship go, or do you communicate? This book is a great resource for you too. That's right, you right there, if you're monogamous. Polyfidelitous is like its name says. It's when people agree not to pursue additional relationships. The relationship is closed. And then the opposite, of course, is being open and saying, okay, we are free to keep loving, not only in our group, but to keep loving outside and having significant relationships that require everything that any relationship requires. Now, some people think that a poly person might only have a primary partner and one secondary partner. That is not true. Poly people can have as many primary partners as their time and life and their mental, emotional, physical compositions can take on. You can have as many secondary partners as you can welcome into your life. What are primary partners? Primary partners are those people who get that primary attention. That person might be my wife. That person might be your husband. And your secondary might be your girlfriend or your boyfriend or another love that you just met, who could be your secondary, but that other person's primary. And so the relationship keeps going on and on. However, some poly people don't have rankings at all. Everybody is leveled out on the playing field. There's no primary partner, there's no secondary. There's a person that I love and that I am committed to. And I know you could be saying, oh my God, that does not sound like a relationship model. That sounds like legalized cheating. That sounds like do whatever you want to do, girl. Call me for the orgy. No. Polyamorous people are in committed relationships, just like two heterosexual people who are, just like, well, let me say, there are heterosexual, pansexual, lesbian, bisexual people in polyamorous relationships. Just people, and there are the same in monogamous relationships. So polyamory, the people that make up polyamory can be of any gender and any sexual orientation. Just like the people that make up monogamy, the people who practice monogamy can be any gender or social, can be any gender identification and any sexual orientation. Now, polyamory, another thing I want to say is polyamory isn't the same thing as polygamy. And I had a fiery discussion with one of my sisters on this while we were in Florida. And she was like, polyamory sounds like polygamy to me. And I was like, no, my love, no. Polygamy and polygyny are different frameworks. In polygamy, you have one man and many wives. He has several wives. All of those wives are focused on their relationships with that one man, that one husband. Those wives are not in loving, sexual, non-sexual, committed relationships with one another. That wife, one wife is not saying to the other one, this is my girlfriend and this is my husband. One wife is not saying, this is my wife and this is my boyfriend. That isn't how polygamy works. I don't think it works like that anywhere in the world. Polygamy is when you have one husband who has many wives focused on him, in relationships with him. They have children. The wives might love one another in a sibling or sisterly, in a sisterly way. They love their children and the children that they all share. But it's not the same as polyamory. Polyamory would be totally different. One wife might be in love with that wife, might want to marry that wife or have a committed relationship as far, may have a commitment ceremony with that wife and still love this husband. Or might not even marry the husband, but be in the relationship, and the husband might be the boyfriend, as I said before. But no. Polygyny is when one woman, I say the wife, has many husbands. She might have 2 husbands, she might have 3 husbands. And yes, that relationship model exists somewhere in the world. Research it. I've seen it right here on YouTube. So, polyamory is not about keeping a harem. I'm not the queen with several men, women, or whatever your sexual orientation is, whatever your gender. I'm keeping all of you all and rotating you in my bedroom when it pleases me. That is not polyamory. Polyamory, like I said before, is about commitment and the whole relationship model of what people experience in a relationship. Polyamory is not even about swinging. There are polyamorous people who swing, but polyamory is different from swinging. Swingers are people who enjoy and love sex. And they get together in group settings to have sex. But they are committed to whomever is in their relationship model, which is normally monogamy. I think I can say normally for the ones that I've encountered in my life experience, many of the swinging women that I know of are bisexual. The men are heterosexual, and bisexual men are frowned upon in swinging circles. And no, swingers I don't think they intend to form romantic relationships with other people. Now, it may happen, but I think that may be because it may happen because we're human, and that chance could happen. We're just meeting to have sex and enjoy this person as a person. If we get up from sex and eat and hang out and watch a movie, but we are not intending to be romantic with this other person. Polyamory is definitely not about cheating and rampant promiscuity. We are not running around, poly people are not running around having sex here and there and everywhere. And no, you have your rules set up about what your relationship is going to be, and you abide by those. And if they are broken, then you've got to regroup and rethink the relationship and rethink the union, rethink the family. Because there are some models of polyamory where maybe 8 people come together in a poly group, and it's a marriage. It's a group marriage. And all of these 8 people take care of the bills, they work, they take care of the children, they vacation together, all of the things that monogamous people do in their relationship. That's what poly people do in the group marriage. Poly people do away with the fairy tale of the one also because people are not static. People are dynamic. They change from day to day, from week to week, from month to month, certainly from year to year. We change. We're living, we're growing, we're changing. And since people are dynamic and they change, their relationships do the same. They change. And when they change, what happens then? Do you easily let them go? Or do you regroup, rethink, decide what's the driving force with your relationship, with your union? What is it based on? Is it predicated by fear or love? What gives here? Are you working towards the same goals, or someone pulling here and another person pulling there? Sometimes you've got to let it go, but sometimes you work on it and decide what brought you together in the first place. And that can be both for poly and monogamy. I love that it is noted that in this more than two, you create your own happiness. We create our happiness daily. We make the decision to be happy. Happiness just doesn't come up out of a void. You meet that person, you look across the room, and you think, oh my God, I'm in love and we're going to be happy ever after. No. You work on that happy ever after. You decide on that. With monogamy, 2 come together and vow, usually, sexual exclusivity, and nobody else can enter into a sexual relationship with those 2, and if that happens, the relationship has been breached and may fall away. With polyamory, you get to decide if you will be sexually exclusive. And sexual exclusivity does not the framework of the relationship be. Case in point. Eve, one of the authors of More Than Two, and her husband Peter decided to marry even after they had stopped having sex. And she realized that she was no longer sexually attracted to him. And some of you might be going, oh my God, is she crazy? How in the world would you allow yourself to marry a man that you're not having sex with? that you're not making love physically to this man. Well, they evolved to a place where they realized that you don't have to be sexual with a person to love that person and want to lead a life of love with that person in a committed relationship. When you realize that, and you know you can still love that person and be committed to that person, you then realize that, hey, I will find sexual attraction elsewhere. And if that is what I want, and if that is what Peter wants and recognizes that, why should I be penalized for not being sexually attracted to you if I love you and want a committed relationship with you? Why should I live my life without having sex and enjoying sex? No reason whatsoever. Eve got her girlfriend, Paloma. Peter had his other partners, and there you go. You begin to evolve a polyamorous family that can work. Relationships don't have to be mass-produced and cookie-cutter and one size fits all. Monogamy tells us that we need to get with one person, lock it down, make it work, and if it stops working, do whatever you need to do to get it back working or let it go. You can create your own dynamics and specifications for your relationship outside of the larger societal framework of what society says is okay in a marriage, in a union, in a relationship. You can step outside of the box and be happy in the relationship model you design for you. If that is solo poly, and you might say, whoa, Claudia, what is that? Solo poly is when you love your other partners, but they're in other relationships as well, primary and secondary or no ranking, but you live by yourself. You like the autonomy of independent living, doing your own living life on your own terms, and not having to nest with someone and come together and decide what are we going to do in this situation. Solo poly is when you have a love here, you're committed to this love over here, and you're committed to this person here. Solo poly. Some people like poly in the same house. When I started thinking about poly, I thought of, like I said, the triad model, and I wanted in my head my other two loves to be in a house with me, enjoying all of what it is to be together, loving one another, and having our families blended. That is something I'll have to see what goes on when I finally meet and start greeting my lovers. I might be in a quad, and I might nest with one of the quad, and the other two might be across the world. You just never know. And you can't put the framework, I guess this is why I kept coming back to this point. I'm learning from Franklin and Eve that you don't put your poly framework out first, as though the people, your loves, don't matter. You put your framework out, I want a triad, and then let me go find two other people that I think can make that framework work. You, I like you. Come over here and step over here. You over here. I'll be in the middle, and this is my triad. No. We don't know how or whom or what the details will be. We live life, open up, smile, enjoy, and meet people, and we see what happens. Now, sometimes in poly relationships, I've learned from Franklin and Eve that there is a veto clause. And the veto clause happens when one person can pull the plug on the relationships established. And if I am so jealous of my lover's metamour, the person who is in love with and in a loving relationship with my partner, if I'm jealous of that person and I want my partner to get rid of that person, and I don't even want to be a met or anything with that person, I feel like I can hold the veto clause to say, hey, this is not working for me. I don't like that person. Get rid of that person. And if you don't, everything that we have is in jeopardy. I'm gone. I'm out of here. Franklin and Eve said the veto rarely works in polyamory, and I can understand why. Who wants to think that everything rests on this person? All the beauty of what we've built rests on who this person is and what this person wants to pull out, wants to pull the rug. No. I'm of the no veto clause poly and communication poly, and let's see what can work. Let's look at various avenues on the table, various ways of going about solving a problem that we are seeming to have, that we're having, instead of one person having the power. We give that person the power to destroy everything, all of the loving scaffolding that we've structured. So I can see exactly why that won't work. Poly people are no less jealous than monogamous people. People tend to be jealous at different times in their lives. Even a person who says, I'm not jealous. I'm not usually jealous, but I can feel jealousy. The issue is what happens when you feel jealousy. What do you do? Are there measures in place to address it? Or do you just throw up your hands, say I won, walk away, and be done with it? These relationships are committed relationships. They're not hit and miss. I do girl, I do boy, I'm going to go over there and tag it tonight, go this weekend and get that. No, they are committed, mutual relationships where everybody knows about everybody else. You don't want to give up all the treasures of the book. You can't do that anyway. I wish I could read some of the book, but you can't reproduce in any way, form, or fashion a book. Some people think that you go out and find someone to satisfy something in you that is not being met by the person that you're in a relationship with. You feel like you are monogamous. You're in this relationship, but it's not satisfying because the person may not be doing things that you want him or her to do in the way that you want them to do them, and the other person might be unwilling to even consider what might work for you and for that other person. So you think, okay, it's a great idea for me to go out and get someone else and we'll all be polyamorous now. No, that's not how it works. I don't think you go out and get a person like a thing to remedy an already bad situation, an already non-communicative relationship. That is like inviting a person in to a crippled machine and asking that person to be a crippled cog in your crippled machine. No. And plus that person is not a thing. That person is a person with the ability to love you and return your love and grow together. So if you feel that way, I think, where you think there's another person that can come in and make it all better, all it can do is create turmoil, emotional turmoil, and set up a jealousy and a rivalry, I'm thinking. I'm thinking that in a situation like that, if you can't communicate and get a remedy to what ails your relationship with this first person that you're in a relationship with, and if you can't do that, then you might need to consider releasing that relationship and opening to meeting other people so that then you can open your heart and live, grow, and change with that other person, because that's a person. Just like you are a person with dynamic needs, and you are not just there to be a band-aid on an open wound that you created with this other person. So no, that is not polyamory. I just thought that needed to be said in case some of you were thinking that polyamory might be a bandage that you can put on a monogamous sore. You can't do that. But you shouldn't do that. Because that other person, if they're not mentally retarded, they're going to see that you are emotionally unavailable to him or her. You're emotionally unavailable. You're tied into your other love, but you're not getting your needs met. So if you want to establish a friends with benefits relationship with this other person, then that other person is going to have to decide if that's okay. Because that's basically all that that he or she is going to be. A booty call, a friends with benefits, until you get your relationship back together with this other person. I hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed and absolutely loved sharing my thoughts on polyamory with you, and sharing a bit from More Than Two, a guide to ethical polyamory from Franklin Vu and Eve Rickert. It is a great book to pick up and read, whether you get it from the media center, whether you buy it like I did from Amazon, Kindle book, whatever you do, pick it up, read it. It'll open something in your world. It'll open your thinking. It may open other places in your heart. Who knows? There might be a polyamorous person lurking in you. Mwah! Thank you so much for being here and watching this video. Thank you so much for being open to learning more about polyamory. And who knows? Let's get some conversation rolling down below this video so we can see what's going on in the world. What's going on? Tell me what's going on. You know, bring up Marvin. Let's talk. Love you so much. Mwah. Until the next time. Bye. Love more and be awesome. Ooh, I love that as the final words to this book. Oh my gosh. Love more and be awesome.